My name is Drew Waldron, and I am on with extreme athlete, kayaker, and adventurer Cyril Derreumaux. Cyril, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Drew. It's my pleasure.
You are an incredibly unique individual, and I feel like I cannot possibly give your bio justice. So, how do you typically introduce yourself to audiences these days?
Um, I'm a dreamer doer. I follow my inner fire and I just go after it. I just go after life and I take on big, big challenges that at first I think I can't reach. And I work toward it with discipline and passion and I make them happen. So in my talks, I usually talk about what I've done and how I did do it and all the lessons learned that I have done. So, I mean, the big things that I've done, the last three crossing, I've got, two Guinness World Record and one pending, a third one for crossing oceans solo. It's my tiny little kayak, 23 feet long, and I was alone 90 days on the ocean. And I explained what I've learned through the whole process.
Absolutely. And you just finished this massive undertaking, this solo kayaking journey. What do you think was the hardest part of the entire 90-day journey?
So the first one I've done is 2 years ago, crossing the Pacific from California to Hawaii is 90 days. And the one I finished a month ago was the Atlantic. It took me 70 days from the Canary Islands to the Caribbeans. Both of them are very different. The first one was I had to bring my game up. How do I get to the point where I'm able to actually do those 90 days alone, not seeing land, not talking to any human being for 3 months, not walking, taking care of my nutrition, my food, my mental side. The mental is so crucial. And I had to create that belief that I could do it. Now the Atlantic, it was slightly harder physically, but it was a little bit easier mentally because I had done the other Pacific that was just like a super big mountain. So 70 days in the Atlantic taught me so many other different things. Um, and yeah, again, I just love to share the teaching.
And what do you do mentally to prepare yourself for that isolation? Because I feel like that must be one of the hardest parts is no human conversation of any kind. How do you keep yourself, for lack of better words, how do you keep yourself sane?
It's true. So the moment I push the pier to the moment I get to the other side, I will not see land. I will not see any other. I could see a boat maybe 10 miles away, but I like them far because I don't want them to hit me. And the big question is how do you prepare for that? I think the most important is to know yourself, right? You have to be self-aware of how you are. Like in my case, I'm an extrovert. I love people. How do I prepare to be alone? I'm emotional. I love the human touch. So how do I prepare for not being too emotional? Okay, so understanding yourself that if emotions are your strength, how do you make sure that they don't become your debility and your weakness, right? So I think knowing yourself is the most important. But then training, I believe in the beginner's mind. So I did hypnosis, I did cold water plunge, I did meditation, I had a coach, mental coach, who would give me advice on how, to see my emotions and how make sure that they were a strength, but also how do you pilot your stress level? Um, yeah, I mean, something happens when you don't see any human being in 3 months and you have to stay in control. That's survival there.
And as far as your mental state goes, like, how do you deal with that level of danger? The open ocean is extremely dangerous. You do have some precautions in place should anything go wrong, but you're still exposing
Mm.
yourself to so much risk. How do you combat that?
Right. So there's many risks, obviously. I mean, the main one would be to be separated from the boat. So I just mitigate by being attached at all time, even if it's flat. Now I'm completely aware of where I am physically, mentally, and emotionally at all times, so that I decide the risk that I'm willing to take depending on those states. For instance, if it's been a week where I didn't sleep very well and I actually have to wake up every hour to look if container ships are coming. So I'm always a little bit sleep deprived, but let's say I start to feel like I could have some hallucination, then I'm not going to paddle more than 12 or 13 hours. I'm going to stop at 10 hours. I'm going to really make the decisions that, okay, the sea state is going to be really strong for the next 3 days. We'll anticipate by preparing the boat, by being ready mentally, by resting a little bit better, eating more because I know I won't be able to eat properly and sleep properly. So it's a day to day where again self-awareness, self-critique, and also adapting to change. And that's one of the things I talk a lot is about how do you lean into change? It could be that you've had a storm for the past 5 days, but now it's sunny. Stop thinking of the past, look at the future, right? Or vice versa. You could have 4 days where it was perfect. Yeah, get ready because the weather is coming. It's 26 strength knots of wind. You're not going to be happy, but how do you go through that hardship?
And after going through this massive undertaking, you incorporate this into your keynote speeches when you're delivering this in front of an audience. How do you incorporate your experiences into messages that you then deliver to your audiences?
My style is to be very authentic, right? I'm not coming to teach you how to be resilient. I'm going to teach you, hey, here's what I've done. I had this challenge. Here's what I've done. And all the lessons that I've learned about ambition, about believing in yourself and not listening to the naysayers and leaning into change and risk-taking and having plan B, plan A, plan B, all these lessons I don't know how you can apply them to you, but you're going to take these little gold nuggets. Oh, this is what I need in my business right now. This is what I need maybe in my life. Or depending where you're in your career, there's going to be one talking point that it will say that it eventually will touch you. And this is why this adventure is so versatile. I did one presentation to AI. What they wanted to know is, hey, how do you become a maverick in the way that you're trying to do something that had never been done before. Right? Obviously, I'm presenting about my kayak crossing an ocean and they're doing AI, but you have to have the same way of thinking like, okay, I'm going to make mistakes. It's okay. I'm going to change right away and pivot and get up again. So it's the same kind of mentality. Don't listen to the naysayers. Try new things, invest, take risks, and another subject could be, well, we're in uncharted waters like the company is going through terrible change. Maybe they've been acquired or they're acquiring another company that a different culture. How do you make that you lean into change? Well, I had to do that all the time. So I'm going to do, my best to adapt my talk to the theme that the client is willing to have. And it's very versatile. So I've been very successful at it.
That's awesome. You would think that
Mhm.
kayaking adventure and AI doesn't have that link, but you spell it out right there.
Mhm. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, and it could be just about everything, right?
yeah.
Let's say you have a startup, you need to have people that are ambitious. Okay, well, how do you create that ambition when nobody else can see what you guys are trying to build? Well, it's like here's one thing that I say, like you think a project is usually step one and step two and step three, it's linear. No, no, no. And when you're creating something completely new that nobody else can see, it's like a puzzle. You put one piece and another one and another one. Somebody would come and say, I don't see anything in that puzzle. Yeah, yeah, I see, until that moment of the puzzle is done and then it exists. And then you say, yeah, I knew it from the get-go. That's what it's very versatile. I love it.
Yeah, very well said. Cyril, there's one last question that I want to ask you, and it's a
Mhm.
question that is very open-ended. Feel free to answer however you'd like. What advice do you have for young people?
Know yourself and and seek and follow your inner fire. Whatever excites you the most is what you should go after. Don't do something because somebody else tells you to do. Don't be motivated by money. It's only money. Be motivated by that inner fire, that flame, that spark that you feel, because that will drive everything else. That will bring success. That will bring, you will be magnetic if you feel, the passion in everything you do. And you will become the leader that you need to be. Like it's the same for me. I needed to create a team around me. I needed a guy that would do the weather. I needed a guy who would be electrician. I needed medical support. And every time I talked to them about my project. I say, here's what I want to do. You feel that fire, you feel that spark, and then people want to join you in that journey. So yeah, follow your heart.
You say you can't cross the ocean without the flame.
For sure. I mean, you can't cross life without the flame. It would be so sad, isn't it? You go through life, it's so beautiful, and you don't have that flame. Yeah, let's work on that. Let's do it.
Very important, very well said. Well, that is going to conclude our conversation with Cyril. Cyril, thank you so much for your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you.